How you doing, Mary?
Well, as fine as one can be, I guess. How are you doing?
You know what? It's been a busy few days. Busy few days, but you don't really care, so don't worry about that. Um, we've got a few things that we're going to be discussing today. You're under no obligation to answer any questions or even converse with me.
All right.
We're going to have a little bit of a story time, if you don't mind.
All
I,
right.
I, uh, I picture you as a person that likes a tale, But you see, when we were talking outside that beautiful cave and all, um, we spoke about someone deceased, Fanilasky. Uh,
Oh, that bitch.
yeah, that bitch. Yeah. No, and you heard Lou saying they came voluntarily, just like Jackson Linder, you know, and that
Jackie
story.
did come voluntarily.
Not arguing about Jackie, like I said, I'm not talking about Jackie. I'm just saying he said the same thing about Jackie. That the Fenner situation was the same as the Jackie situation. That Jackie came voluntarily, and that Fenner came voluntarily. That's what must have told you, right? When he's told you about it, because you weren't around then, right? You hadn't stepped onto this state at that point.
That's
Is that correct?
right.
All right. Well, I know you're not going to believe what I say because I'm just a member of the law enforcement and you don't know me from Jack, right? But I wonder if you believe what Fenner said. So I'm going to read you some things here. And I just want you to bear with me, all right? It'll take me a moment. But we're going to talk about the time that Fenner took this concoction that Lou makes, his wonderful cocktail of hallucinogenics. Because your brother's not being truthful with you. Shocking, I know, but we're going to have a look. I'm going to give you privy to some information here. I'm going to read directly from a file. Now, the case is closed, so you don't know too much. It won't matter too much, but we'll see. This is about the kidnapping of Fenelaski by Lou LeBlanc, where he went to court. You remember he was very angry about that. And this is from the incident details. Let me just bring it here. All right. Fenner was not able to consent due to her distress in kidnapping and was forced to ingest via food or drink under duress, one times maltreatment. The conversation continued, where the LeBlancs stated that they were not holding Miss Lasky at gunpoint and keeping her in her place. The conversation ended when they agreed to come to the sheriff's office and clear it up. Upon arriving, a person who I'm not going to name for obvious reasons stated that he had witnessed them kidnapping Miss Lasky in Saint Denis, as well as three other people saw this as well. He also stated that they both had their guns pointed. So that's part of that. Now, that'll become important in a moment. Okay. Upon conversating, it was noted that Miss Lasky was under the influence of drugs, that she was not fully able to consent due to her distress in kidnapping and was forced to ingest via food or drink. The conversations continued as such. Once again, a bit like Jackson was, I'm sure, like not able to know really what was going on afterwards. This is the medical write up. Fenner was observed to be hallucinating and seeing things she shouldn't be, like Benjamin Lasky. That is deceased. Benjamin Lasky was a member of Fenner's family. Fenner was distressed and was worried about someone being hurt, and I calmed them down. Her psychological condition was quite deteriorated, so I brought her across to the gunsmith's because I could feel her sweating, feeling nauseous, and hallucinating. I believe she was force fed psychedelic mushrooms of the sort. I administered some charcoal tablets to her, but before that, she was throwing up a lot and in a good amount of pain. She needed to rest the effects of mushrooms off, and her psychological condition is better now after a whole day's rest. This is the important bit here. So if you stay with me, Mary Sue, this is the statement from Fenelaski. Now, bear in mind, Lou LeBlanc said that they came willingly. They were never forced to go, never forced to stay. That's what your brother said, right? This is the statement from Fenelaski. The following is a recount of what I can remember from the other day. I'll be honest in saying there are hazy parts later on. I do, however, remember the beginning clearly. I went from Valentine to Rhodes with a deputy who I won't name, as we needed more deputies in the east. I had lost my horse, Mary, earlier the day and received a telegram that someone may have found her and hitched her outside the parlor house. When we arrived, I told Alan and the bounty hunters he was speaking with, I'm not going to name them, that I was going over there to see if my horse was there. The two bounty hunters followed along, as they said they saw suspicious individuals there earlier. A man came down from the balcony and claimed to be the one who found my horse, but she wasn't there. As I started calling out and walking around to look for her, Lou stepped out of the parlor house. I had my back turned, but when I turned back, guns were raised between him and the bounty hunters. I tried to reason with Lou, and I was convinced he would listen to me, but I wasn't able to get through to him in time before someone showed up, gun drawn as well. Lou realized who it was and shot them. A gunfight ensued. I, wanting to ensure nothing worse happened to said individual, picked them up and brought them over to the doctor's office. When I returned, a deputy was missing, but one of the bounty hunters was still speaking to Lou, who was back. Let me get to where I was. In the parlor house. I stepped in, hoping to calm Lou down, and the bounty hunter went to get the other bounty hunter out of there as they were hurt. I tried to convince him to put his gun away and come out. He was hurt, he was hurt that I was not responding to his letters. I promised we could talk, but he needed to come out peacefully so no one else would get hurt. This is when his new friend showed up with his gun in my back. I put my hands up and continued to try and reason with Lou, but his friend stated he had dealt with the other one. I agreed to go with them on the condition that they send for a doctor for the injured. Lou agreed and had the other take me. The other one made me remove my guns and hat, then run to the horse and hop on the back. During the ride over, I was able to sneak his knife away. I kept it at my side as we went into the broken down house. When I felt the moment was right, I used the knife to threaten the man to move to the door so I could leave. I don't remember my exact wording as my blood was boiling at the time, but he refused to move out of my way. We ended up in a fight, and he threw a jar of some substance at me, and I was able to push him back, and we tried to take the knife away. I ran to the door, but did not make it far without my vision being somewhat blurred. So he retrieved me and tied me to the chair back in the building. Lou came in and spoke to me. I tried to reason with him again that he shouldn't want me as his family. This is when they saw a person who called himself Bruja. I'm unsure if that's the correct spelling, but they were trying to fish in the area. Lou and his friends spoke with the person, ultimately let him walk away. Thankfully. They were going to move me, but Lou hopped off his horse to give his friends some medicine as he had been hurt in the previous gunfight. I used this opportunity to ride away on Lou's horse and was able to run to Saint Denis before they caught up. They captured me in front of my friends, drawing their guns on them and claiming this was not a kidnapping. I did not want anyone else to end up hurt over all of this, so I pleaded with them not to shoot them and just tell the others I was there. I knew if I was going to die, I would want everyone else to know that I tried to get away. And even if it was only for a moment. They brought me to the lookout tower where they continued talking to me about family. After refusing to take the substance, they mentioned something about it becoming dark. They brought me to the cave of statues. Lou presented me with a jar. I took some of the paste out of my finger, figuring that I could feign taking it and it would all be over soon. That once they were on it, I mostly likely escape. He noticed that I didn't take it properly though and had me do it again, so I complied. This is where things become tricky. I know what I experienced, but what I experienced with witnesses is not necessarily trustworthy from here. I heard voices again. It was impeccably loud. I began seeing things, shadows of sorts, but also colors appeared richer. Everything in the cave looked funny, wavy of sorts. I pleaded. I begged them to leave. I figured out the only way I'll ever end is for me to complete whatever this ritual was. I remember deputies stepping in at some point. I remember feeling extremely weak, like I would pass out again. So I went back to the cave where it wasn't so bright. The last thing I remember is being in the sheriff's office, trying to tell Lou that I didn't do this while watching the cell bars move like snakes around him. That is from Fenelaski. Does that sound like somebody that wanted to go with Lou and wanted to be part of a ritual?
She, I've heard quite a lot of things about that woman. It seems a lot of people seem to miss her, including my brother. Why would he mourn a woman that he was trying to hurt?
No.
See,
Those,
something interesting in that statement there, right?
go on.
Something interesting about that is her pleading that he shouldn't want her to be his family. Now, this is what I've been trying to say for the longest time. He's only ever done this stuff because he was searching for his family and his family's back. He was just trying to replace me.
Where were you in all of this? What were you doing?
I was with my auntie.
Yeah. Because you know what? He never mentioned you once. He said he wanted a family. Never mentioned you. No one even knew you existed until you just rocked up in the state.
He thought I was dead.
Hmm. Well, so he wants a family. I can understand that. I can understand a want for family. So he can just take who he wants to be his family? That how it works?
How well did you know this Miss Lasky?
Very well.
Hmm. Are you quite certain that she wasn't the one trying to create a monster? A puppet for her own little bidding?
Yes, I am.
Interesting. Why did why did you bring this to me?
Because I saw an interesting dynamic on the outside the cave. I heard you and your brother arguing. There's a power struggle. Lou is used to being in charge, but you don't really like taking orders from someone. You see, I get a lot of things wrong. I'm terrible at my job in a lot of ways, but I'm good at people. I'm good at people. You don't like taking orders. You like to do things your own way. Now, don't get me wrong. You'll do what's right at the right time sometimes, or what you think is, but you don't like taking orders. But Lou's used to being kind of, his own boss in a way, for want of a better word. Kind of does what he wants. So I could hear you arguing and you trying to work out the right thing to do. It just made me think. You were doing it at a time, as you said to me, because of your brother's charges, for one, and you were looking out for him. Now, those charges, we found out later, we worked through that. But you were so adamant on there. Like when you're calling Fenner a bitch and all of this and whatever words you use, and you're entitled to your opinion. That's absolutely fine. But your brother was so adamant. He stood there going, "No, she came to me. She came to me." It's delusional because she didn't. She didn't go to him. She was forced there at gunpoint. She was forced to take this hallucinogen. He was forcing her into a position where she didn't know what was real or what was not. She wasn't able to make a rational decision, and then she got hooked on that feeling of being able to see her dead family. And he became the thing that gave her that. But it's all a lie, Mary Sue. It's all built on a lie because Lou stands by this hypocritical like principle that they come to me. I give them what they want. They come to me. But no one fucking comes to him apart from maybe someone like Jackson Linda, who, let's be honest, if you wiggled a piece of jerky on the corner, she'd come running just for attention. That's not impressive. But Fenelaski was not that. Fenelaski was strong willed. She was going through a rough point, and Lou saw it. She had just lost family members in quick succession. He saw a weakness, just like they saw a weakness in Ian York. And you saw a weakness in Ian York and Reed Rogan. Ways that you could find your way into the sheriff's office, find your way in, just put that little worm in the ear and cause chaos. You see, this has happened before with Lou, with the Fanny situation. I've been here before, but Lou was sat there, not you. And it was in the sheriff's office, not in the Sissiker. But the same thing has happened before. But the difference is, I truly think Lou believes his own bullshit. I think he is so far gone that he doesn't actually know what day it is. Like, whereas I think you are the dangerous one because you actually know what the fuck is going on. Don't get me wrong. That's not a compliment. Like, but you clearly see the bigger picture here. And it just goes round in circles. All I hear is you mentioning your conversations with deputies, your nice conversations with Ian York, allowing Jackson Linder in, being nice to them, and et cetera, et cetera. Like, Lou is just repeating the same cycle. Look at Dale Halleck. Dale Halleck and Lou have been around this hundreds of times. Do you know what's happened since our conversation? Dale Halleck's partner is dead. Yet more blood spilled.
What do you mean Dell's partner's dead?
Oh, the actual person she was really with? Oh, yeah. No, they're dead.
What do you mean?
No longer of this life.
What happened?
They were killed.
How?
That's an investigation. We haven't even fully worked it out. And I'm not going to share that because it's an active investigation. But they're now dead. Yet more blood spilled.
Is Dell all right?
No, they're not. They're heartbroken. You see, this is what happens all the time. It's not even the individuals involved. It's not even in this situation, Lou LeBlanc, you and Jackson Linda, and then the fucking puppets that you have around you, Rasp and McPickle. Because they come and go. They'll go to the highest bidder. They're like whores to money. I've seen them with every gang in this state. I expect them to turn up whenever I turn up to a situation. I think so little of all of them. It's people like you and Lou LeBlanc that I worry about. But you see, you have your little group and the people involved in it, but they're not the ones that get hurt. It's the collateral around it. Cyril, for example. Do you know I've seen them the last 3 days since, and all they've been doing is crying?
Why?
Because they don't know who to fucking turn to. They try and help people, but the people they try and help are doing genuine harm to people.
They should turn to family.
Why? Because look what happens to fucking families. Look what happens when Lou LeBlanc tries to have a family. They're dead. Look what happens when you branch out your family and marry Dell Halleck. Dell's family starts dying. It's like a disease. It's like a cancer. It spreads. When does it stop? Whatever Lou thinks he's doing, whatever good he delusionally thinks he's doing, he's not. When does it stop?
Hmm.
Stop when Jackson Linda dies? Or does he just move on to the next person? Do you move on to the next person?
Well, how interesting.
Presume you know they tried to break you out.
What?
You haven't got a letter from your brother? No, McPickle and Rasp tried to break you out of jail. They went to the wrong sheriff's office. Got in a shootout.
They went to the wrong office.
Yeah. They went to the wrong office and got in a shootout with deputies.
Oh, Lord.
Civilian nearly got hurt.
Jesus Christ.
More collateral. On the orders of Lou,
Wow.
of course. Because those two don't have a brain cell between them. They wouldn't think of doing that. Though them picking the wrong sheriff's office, that's on them. That I believe.
Have you spoken with your deputies about lying to me?
No, because you wouldn't tell me which one it was.
I'm surprised you haven't figured it out, considering I only speak to one of them.
Yeah. Well, if it's Ian York, I will speak to him. But he was dealing with the investigation yesterday, so I haven't actually had time to speak to him since. Only momentarily. Yesterday was surprisingly even busier day than the day we dealt with you. But
Really?
I'll speak. Oh, really? So I'll speak with him if that's what you're saying.
You know, you're right. I do. I do quite like stories, fables. So why don't I tell you a little one?
Please do.
Let me tell you about what I've seen so far in terms of symbolism, because I like symbolism. I really do. I'll tell you the story of the snake, the gator, and the lamb. You see, a snake found a disgruntled, sad, disturbed gator in her home that she had been away from for an ungodly amount of time. His eyes were familiar, but he was much, much bigger than the last time she saw him. They were sadder. Like I said, they were disturbed. How they would perceive and cause him to just bite at the air, just trying to latch on to anything he could get. But she knew him not to be a monster, though his guise is dangerous. I think anybody can admit a gator can be. So the snake comforted him by wrapping herself around his maw, gripping back his instinct. The gator, though it grew hungry, doesn't dare snap, for it knows the venom of the constricting snake will seep deep and leave it helpless. So together they just rested in their home above the mossy surface of a river. But then one day a little lamb wandered into their swamp. She catches the eye of the starved gator, and he sees something that he knows he feels himself: confusion, abandonment. And instead of wanting to feast on that, he wants to help her. He pities the poor little drowning lamb as she struggles to keep her nose afloat in the water. He tries to teach her how to breathe and how to hold her breath, how to swim. But in the murky water, she grows tired, wondering when one of her own herd will find her, will comfort her, save her. When it is evident that none of the herd cares to rescue her, the gator decides to help her himself by lifting her on his back. So she is led from the drowning that she was so helpless in, back to the bank. Though her legs are weak and tired, she struggles to breathe still. So the snake and the gator sit with her so the other predators don't make her their own meal. They protect her. But the herd does come, doesn't it? After seeing her already saved. And they begin to stampede the gator simply because they heard her cry. Though he was not the one who caused her pain, to cause her struggle, they blame him. Though she wandered into the deep water herself, they blame him. His willingness to help is disregarded, cast aside, as she tries to see the vastness of the gator's teeth. And then she begins to lie through her own, so that once cast out, the lamb may be pitied back into her own herd. He is a monster, isn't he? Why wouldn't he try to drown her? Why wouldn't they believe that he would rip her limb from limb? So the hooves antagonize and press into the gator, and the snake still wrapped tightly around his jaw, sees the only way to help him is to let his bite loose. So she releases her grip and is ripped away from his side. Mr. Clay, do you know anything about a gator's bite? How once its jaws are locked in place, it's nearly impossible to save what it's stuck.
Yeah.
You want the gator subdued. You don't take the snake away. So has he bitten yet?
You know, it was clever and as wonderful as your story is, it's missing a few details. Don't you think? It's more propaganda than a story. But, that's natural to have bias. So let's talk about some things that maybe you don't know. After you were sent here, and the gator releasing his grip and all this, he then kidnapped Jackson Linda's horse. I know it's a weird word to use, but that's how it seems. I said if they want it back, to come to him. Hmm. Does that not sound a little bit like what happened? Fenner, you know, starting to pull them back. Because if it was truly just trying to help, he maybe sent a letter saying, "Come, I'll help you. I'm here when you need me." But that's not what he did. He couldn't wait. You told him, right? You were going to deal with it. Off you went. He couldn't even wait. Before I'd even got you to the docks, he's taken Jackson Linda's horse and he's sending her telegrams and letters to come get it. Come back to him. You see? This is the problem with Lou. Even though you do have sway over him, like I said, I think you are the more dominant of the LeBlancs. He doesn't really listen to you, only when you're there. And even then, he's just waiting for an opportunity to do things his way as soon as you're not there. He doesn't like being told what to do. He can't help himself. And your story works with Jackson Linda, who, like we've said, will go to anybody who shows him any attention. But that analogy, one, you weren't there, so, but true, once again, doesn't work with Fenna. Because none of that works with them. So this is what I mean by bias and propaganda. We're missing out a big chunk of details to make your story work. Though it was eloquent, I applaud you on your craftsmanship. It's, a, it's nonsensical. It's missing too many of the key details.
Well, maybe the issue with Finn is that I weren't there.
Yeah. But that brings me to my next point, I guess. When your time is up, I can't imagine you're the person to turn over and you leave your family behind and open up a store or write books and live off the land. I don't think that's what's in your ideals right now. But what are you gonna do when you get out of here? You're gonna just go straight back to Lou, and continue as you were?
Well, actually, you just told me my wife is grieving, so I'm gonna go see her.
Yeah, she's grieving over her real partner. Yeah, but sure. Okay. You have a thing for these crocodile analogies, of course. Modell is a crocodile of sorts, you know. So
She sure is.
yeah,
Did you just come here to bring me all this information?
no, I didn't. I came with you because we didn't really have a chance to have that proper conversation. In the cells, it's hard. We're dealing with your charges. It's a very stressful situation. But you've got time to think in here. You've got time to work out what to do next. Because you see, Lou LeBlanc's going to continue down a path. And that path will eventually get him killed. That's not a threat. It's just the natural order of things. You could only outrun it for so long. And I'll be honest with you, I don't want anyone to die, Lou included. I don't like death. I don't like people getting the death sentence. I don't like killing people. But Lou will die. And he might not be a bad deputy in a situation like that. He might be someone that he tries to, quote, help. Or it might be someone that he wrongs while helping these people. You got to wonder who's protecting the people that he's actually helping. Does he know the full picture and all of this? I don't know. Maybe nobody does, but he is going to die. And you have choices. You can die next to him. In the blaze of glory, the LeBlancs going out together. Or you could do what is generally the most sensible thing and fucking run. And if you can, take him with you, but just get the fuck out of the state because I'm sick to death of dealing with Lou LeBlanc. I'm sick to death of dealing with his fucking hypocrisy. Him helping people and saving people while hurting people at every fucking turn. And then when he stands there and tells his fucking tales that are missing so much information that I think at that point, how much of his own fucking drugs is he on at that time? And probably a lot. But it's tiresome. And he's going to get people hurt. And it already has. Maybe you should start keeping your brother in more of a check.
I'm doing my best.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not going great so far.
Oh, if you only knew.
Yeah, that's what terrifies me. Because what I already know is terrifying enough. I was hoping that we would be able to see some common ground here. I don't know if we have or we haven't, but I hope I haven't disrespected you any by coming and speaking with you today. I don't think it was never my intention.
No, actually, I'm glad to have a fuller picture of Miss Lasky.
Yeah. Be honest with me about one thing, just out of my curiosity, please. Is that the story that Lou told you? The one that I told you? Or did he miss out a lot of details? It don't matter now. She's dead, but I'm just curious. Is my hunch right? Is he lying to you and not telling you the full picture?
I know my brother well enough to know when he is lying, not telling me the whole truth. Did I know every explicit detail? I did not. But
Yes.
just as I do know my brother, I could tell you one thing. He loved that woman arguably more than he loves me, so um, maybe that's a good thing because he's not doing all that shit to me.
Yeah. I think you're maybe a little bit too sure of yourself for it to work. I think Lou only preys on the weak when they're most needing. And he already has you, right? You're already his family. So,
Of the same blood?
yeah. But one last tidbit before I part here. You said that maybe one of the reasons he was interested in Fenner was that family thing because he was reaching out for family because he thought you were dead.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I can understand that. And you're not dead.
Mm-hmm.
Unless I'm on some of this hallucinogenic, which I don't think I am. You're not dead. I'm here in Sissiker.
Well, that could be arranged, Mr.
And
Clay.
it really won't. But here's my question that I'll leave you with. You don't have to answer it. If he has the family now, why is he still looking? You have a good day. I'm ready to get out of here now, please.
Yep. That door's unlocked, so you can walk on out, Sheriff.
Right, thanks. And this is quite embarrassing, but can you maybe, I don't know, tug me with a rope? I'm stuck.
You're stuck.
Does someone put some glue on this chair or something?
He just secretly wants to keep looking at my pretty face, is all.
Thank you.
Until next time, Sheriff Clay.
Yeah.
Right. Come on, Miss Mary.